what he's holding them accountable to, and get back to you on that with a better answer. But I would say 15 to 20 would be.
He's paying them on contacts or phone calls out?
He's paying them on, basically, I think it's a couple things. He wants to see how many calls they're making in an hour.
Yeah.
So I sent him like a report from our back end that shows exactly how many phone calls by hour per person that they're making. And then I think he's probably got them split differently for how many live connections and appointments they book.
Cool.
Okay. So this is our inbound and outbound and inbound staff activity report. Certain dealerships use this, and we can actually automate this, send it a couple times a day, because really process-oriented dealerships will meet with their guys like 3 or 4 times a day real quick to see where they are on that outbound activity. So you can see, for example, David, 428 phone calls, and he's only connected to 77 live conversations, which isn't a very good ratio. Whereas Nicholas, 266, and he has 46 calls.
This is for a month?
They're all hyper. You know what? I'm not sure what time frame. This can't be a month. 428 calls.
Well, if it's a couple days in, but it can't be a day.
No. I would say this is probably like a week.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
The higher ones obviously are typically BDC agents. But some dealerships will say, hey, BDC agents make 100 calls a day, floor staff makes 50. These are all hyperlinks, so you could actually look, okay, David, all he does is book soft appointments all the time. You could click into those 19 soft appointments. It will pull up all the calls. You could listen to a few and then coach them up. The same thing on the inbound side. You can claim the inbound calls with the phone code. Then we know who's actually taking those calls, and then how well they're booking appointments on the inbound side. These are what the calls will look like when you open them. So you'll get to see who the call, what line it came on, the time, date. If you're using phone codes, you'll see the salesperson's name here. You can play the audio file. Every call will be tagged if it's, connected, sales up, appointment requested, or no appointment requested. And then for an add-on, we can actually have someone write out a recap of what happened on that call. And then from these alerts, you could actually click this button up here and call that customer back from the actual alert. So the alerts that we'll be sending out to the dealership, we can set that based on, your position or who should be handling certain calls. So soft appointments are typically, set up to the managers. That's the only one we typically set them up with at first, because we don't want them to get bogged down with a bunch of alerts. Mm-hmm. That way they're getting those soft appointments and then trying to firm them up. Whereas the BDC, all the calls that didn't connect will typically push back to the BDC to try to get someone to call them back. But these can be adjusted at any time for any person.
Can we adjust them, or do you have to?
Nope, you can adjust them. Cool. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Our system is pretty user friendly, so you guys can create phone numbers and change pretty much whatever you want inside the platform. So you guys are using BDCs that go directly to hunters at most of your dealerships, it sounds like. So what we've come up with recently, probably about 8 months ago, we typically will have for those inbound calls, you have to enter a phone code in order to claim it. And we found that it was mission impossible to get sales guys to do it. So we came up with call claims. And what that does is if the call comes in straight to the BDC to that hunt group, when you pick up the phone, you'll hear a whisper that says, please enter your 4-digit code. You have to enter that 4-digit code in order to connect to the customer. And what that does is it tags that call in your name in our reporting. Nice. That's been working out really well. So if you're not using it, you'll see a bunch of unclaimed calls. If you use it, you're going to start seeing everybody's name tagged in the reporting. The other thing, by the way, that we're rolling out, or at least testing in about 6 Berkshire Hathaway stores right now, is voice recognition. So we're hoping in the next couple months we can actually get rid of phone codes altogether and just have the machine know who's taken the call and tagging it appropriately.
How long does it take them to understand somebody's voice to be able to get that?
You know, it doesn't take that long, and it mostly because we have so much outbound audio files for each individual person that we have, you know, thousands, hours of minutes worth of or hours worth of audio files for each individual. So then we tie that to that automated process to figure out the voice. So the testing so far has gone really well. Typically what we'll do is we'll tag a bunch of the calls, or if you guys are using call claim, we'll use a bunch of those to match it up to test the machine and make sure that they're tagging it right. So that should be rolling out within a couple months to all stores. This is e-lead integration. So we give you guys unlimited tracking lines. So any of your ad sources, any and all ad sources that you have, to make individual lines for them. And then that way, with this tracking line summary, you'll know, for example, if Auto Trader is sending you phone calls, because we're listening to them, we'll be able to tell you whether or not they're sales opportunities. So that way you guys can have a better idea of the ROI on that ad spend. So if they sent you like 50 calls and you realize, you know, 35 of those are service and parts calls, you know you can make some adjustments to that, or call up Auto Trader and see what's going on and see if they can't change their ads. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. We have group reporting. So all of our report, we can roll it up so you can see all of your dealerships at a glance, how well they're connecting, their sales ops and appointment requests. And then we break that into CRISP too. This is just the main roll up, but you'll get more data on a group level as well. And then how CarWars, because we pit dealerships up against each other. We have over 10,000 dealerships in our system. We have a lot of the largest groups, so Berkshire Hathaway, Mile One, Lithia, Asbury, Hendrick, AMSI. So you could actually pit yourself against any dealership in our system to kind of see where you are standing up against them. And then a lot of groups will do like grudge matches and compete against each other based on these metrics. And it kind of sounds cheesy, but it gets the staff involved in really, you know, trying to connect and do the right thing. Ask for appointments. We do the same thing on the service side. Do you guys want to go through the service?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to be crisp as well. It's just a little bit different. So C is going to stand for connect. RI is request and inspection, because we don't want them just getting priced over the phone. We want to make sure that they're, you know, requesting people to come in to have a certified technician take a look at their car. We want them to do the same thing and set those firm appointments. And then pursue, we really want to make sure that those service advisors are giving status updates, because that's the biggest thing that bogs down the service lines, right? Is people constantly calling in to figure out when their car is going to be finished. Right. And then the BDC agents following up on surveys, or, you know, after service visits and confirming appointments. So on the service side, it's similar. We're going to show you how well you're connecting. And then we go one step further. We're going to show why you're not connecting. And then we're going to show you why you're not able to book appointments. So whether they need follow-up, you know, hey, I got to check with my husband. Maybe it's a status update, or handled on call is typically when they're getting priced over the phone. So you call in your make model, somebody asks for price for brakes, and they give you $300 and click it enough. So we want you guys to be able to call some of those people back and request them into the dealership. The alerts are going to look very similar. They're all actionable, so you can click on here and call that person back. And then on the outbound side in service, it's going to show you how many outbound calls, how many live connections, appointments booked, and it's going to show you the best time is to call and connect to people. Dealership, it looks like 10 o'clock is the best time to make those. And the other thing on the service side, we're actually listening to the intent of the outbound call. So you can see at this dealership, only 4% of those calls are status updates, which is very low. A lot of these dealerships will have, you know, good ones will have that status update of like 50 to 60%. But we're looking to see if you're making recent service visit calls, confirming appointments, and inviting people in for an appointment. And then whether or not you're booking on those outbound calls. We'll have staff activity as well for the BD or the service side. So how many live connections they're having and how often they're inviting people in and booking those appointments. And this is the part, Jeff, that I was going to go over earlier with you is website calls. This is our website tracking capability. Basically, we can put a script on your site, or you guys put the script on your site, and what that's going to do is it's going to rotate like a dynamic number. So let's say, for example, I go on Facebook and I see an ad for one of your dealerships. I click on it and it drives me to your website. Typically, that would show up as a website call on that tracking line summary, and you wouldn't know that it came from Facebook if they went to your website. We'll be able to have all of that data that's in the URL. So basically, we'll be able to push that information into Google Analytics. So we can tell you what your top referring sources are, how many calls they make, how many sales appointments are booked. And then we can also give you the detail based on the campaign and the ad group breakdown. So for example, if that source is Google and then you have it tagged for your median, all of that information, we can push that data into Google Analytics and Google AdWords. And then we give you instructions on how to set up like a call goal within Google Analytics. So then you're going to be able to see how many calls are actually converting. And what we're testing out right now as well with Berkshire Hathaway, because we're listening to all those phone calls, we're then going to start sending in whether or not they were sales opportunities as events within Google Analytics. So that really gives you an idea of, okay, I had so many calls conversions from Auto Trader, right? Let's say I had 8, but how many of those were true sales opportunities? And based on that, in that bid management platform, you can turn on or turn off ad spend based on those conversions. Does that make sense?
It does. Can you base it off of like a UTM link if you're using tracking links to see the different sources and listen to those calls?
Yeah, so it's basically going to be like UTM tags, right? Like all that data that you would find. So
perfect.
Yeah, I'll give you a good example. I click here, and I click this website. All of this up here, so you have the source, the UTM source is Google. Our columns, basically we can send you a flat file, for example, and send that in the header, like, okay, the source is Google, the UTM medium is organic, we'll tell you it's organic, and then whatever campaign that you have tagged, we'll pass that through.
Okay, awesome.
Cool. And these are like the bid management platforms, some of them that we integrate with. And then we have CarWars Edge. It's basically formatted for a TV that you guys can have up in your dealership if you want, and then that will scroll through and show, who's at the top making the most appointments, and basically nobody likes to see their name at the bottom. So it'll go scroll through different options. Do you have any questions?
This is great. Tammy?
No.
Did you have questions? Or you said no?
I said no.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know if you said yeah or no. Sorry.
Okay. So what do you guys think? What is this kind of what you're looking for? In the sense of you're getting someone to listen and review those calls and tee up the important ones, or?
Tammy?
Well, I like it a lot better than what Phone Ninjas was offering us when they said they would listen to our calls.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen a lot of different programs. I've seen you guys' stuff before, and I definitely think it's exactly what we need and want, and more probably, actually, things I haven't thought of. So What do you think, Jeff?
I like it. I mean, you know, was just setting up with another call rail basically to do that source tracking like that, and so it would be nice to be integrated into the same platform and not have yet another vendor. So, streamlining aspect, I like that a lot. There's no way that you could.
Sorry.
There's no way you could share the presentation as well. My internet over here at this store is so slow. I could sort of skip it and hard to see some of the slides. There's no way you could share some of that with me by chance.
Yeah, I can definitely share it. Just let me find one that doesn't have all that e-lead integration in it, or I can still send you the e-lead integration one. It doesn't really matter. But yeah.
Yeah, just the screenshot. Some of them I missed when you were talking about, the source files and stuff like that would be awesome.
Hey, I screencastified it, Jeff, so with the audio's with it too, and I can just share that link with you.
Oh, cool. Perfect.
Yeah, these slides are a little hard to see as well. But yeah, I can definitely share the website calls information, the tracking information with you.
Sweet.
The whole deck I can pass over.
So what advantages will we be missing if it doesn't integrate with CRM?
The advantages, I mean, click to call. Reynolds doesn't allow us to do click to call, but we can set up kind of like a dialer, or we can set up speed dials on your phone. The integration, for example, that we have with eLead, our whole entire platform lives within the CRM, so you never have to leave it. We push all the calls into a phone bucket. We're only pushing sales calls into the phone bucket. So basically, a BDC would only have to go through here and just select between maybe 5 and 20 calls a day that they're truly getting to save them to make sure that everything is being up. Everything has click to call. The phone calls will push into the event profile. We're coming out with like screen pops with eLeads, for example, where the call comes in, it's going to tap their system and see if a current event exists. If it does, it's going to pop your screen with all that customer data and activity. I mean, that's some of the stuff that you'd be missing by not having integration. What is it? I mean, are you guys happy with Reynolds? Are you shopping or
We are locked in. We owe them our life.
for life? Yeah, for life. Yeah, that's what sucks about those contracts. They get you guys.
Well, and the thing about it is what we do want is we shopped a lot of different DMSs and CRMs here just about a year and a half ago, and while I'm there's many of us that weren't not ecstatic of using CRM for like Reynolds and Reynolds for CRM. What we're trying to do is get our DMS to talk to our CRM, to get it more fluid, to get it more clean, to get our name files cleaner, just to kind of create some synergy. And unfortunately or fortunately, Reynolds was the best solution overall for us. So there's obviously things that we didn't like and there's things that we did like, but overall, it just made the most sense for us. So, that's kind of where we're at. So we signed our life away for a while and kind of making the best of it. So, but they don't play well with others is the problem.
Yeah, no, they don't, unfortunately. I mean, we would be happy to do it, but
Are they the only ones that you guys don't integrate with?
I mean, there are some other little small fries, like, that don't integrate, but Dealer Socket, eLead, Vin, all have different levels of integration. Vin being the worst because Cox bought Vin, so Cox is now blocking everybody out of integrating, right? They kind of want to do what Reynolds does and capture everything. But we'll have like smaller CRMs. Most people are open to integrating because it makes their platform stickier,
Yeah.
But we have
How does
some
price-
solutions. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. You can finish your stuff. Your sentence. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say we have some solutions for you guys in terms of like a form of click to call, for example. If you guys, let's see here, if you guys have our platform open,
Okay, so
there's this dialer here, which we can set up. So each person, if they have this open, and they can just keep this dialer open on their desktop, for example. It will be like a keypad, and you can just dial on your computer. And when you dial a customer number, it's going to either ring your desk phone or your cell phone, whatever you have it set up to, and then that will be tracking and recording an outbound call. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah.
Or with your IP, we can program like a speed dial. You press that speed dial, put your phone code in, and then those calls will be recorded and tracked.
Makes sense.
How does pricing work? Does pricing work as per recorded minute, per conversation? How does that all play out?
We have different packages. Like I was telling you earlier, it sounds like we would just put that. Well, we have different levels. So basically, there's let me find our pricing sheet so I don't talk. We have for that big store that you guys have, the Nolan store. That would probably be on an unlimited package for sales, which is $18.49. That means you can do unlimited inbound and outbound. You'll always have a flat fee. And we could put that auto direct store, those two together if you wanted, since they both operate out of the same BDC. And then your Buick store, you said sells around 97 cars, so they would probably be okay in our middle package, which is, I want to say it's like $9.99 or, shoot, let me see here. Okay. So, can you guys see my screen still?
Yep.
Okay. So, the sales is $18.49 for unlimited, and then we could do like, oh, I don't have that one price on here. I want to say it's $9.99 for 7,500 inbound and outbound minutes is the medium package, which I think that Buick store would be a good fit. And the Chevy store, how many did you say that was? 174? That one might need to be on.
I'm probably going to have to get the unlimited as well.
Yeah. So for sure. What happens if you go over, like, so let's say the Buick store did the medium package and they just had a hell of a month. Does it just stop recording, or can they?
No, it would just be overages.
Okay.
Yeah. There'd be minute overages.
Can we say stop?
I think it's like.
If we catch it, can we say, hey, can we stop for the month? Or will you always charge us?
No, they just keep rolling because those tracking lines are out there, and if they're calling a tracking line, it's hitting that line.
How? One other question for you. So we're with who's calling right now. How difficult can you guys import out of some of the numbers and the extensions, or is it just basically starting fresh with setup again and going through every single source? I mean, I know it's kind of a stupid question.
Yeah.
I know your answer.
No, it's
just
not.
Curious with people in the past.
Yeah, I mean, who's calling has a special place in my heart. They're one of most companies. Legally, you have to port over numbers if somebody asks, right?
Yeah, they don't.
You cannot. Yeah, I know they don't. They do in certain circumstances, like especially if you just like threaten them with a legal letter from your lawyer. We've had it work out where they will port numbers over. So they'll typically port like a Google number, local line. But for the most part, you're just going to have to replace a lot of those.
Yeah, I've always been told that.
That's what I knew you said, Kathleen. I was just crossing my fingers. And
Oh, I know. I hear you. But yeah, CarWars though, you'll leave with your phone numbers, right? If we decide to leave, we get to keep the phone numbers. Like,
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
We don't charge you. Like, there's some companies out there will try to charge you for every number. We just give them to you. If you want to leave, then we don't really want to make it difficult. Most people come back. So, yeah, you can keep your numbers. And the other thing with those unlimited, the bigger stores that would be on unlimited, we could actually port your main line into our system and convert it into a tracking line. And so in essence, you could really track absolutely every single phone call that's going in and out of there.
Sweet.
Which I would recommend if you get on the unlimited. I would recommend it just because you might as well get the most out of it and have all those soft opportunities teed up to you.
oh, that's interesting. Cool.
Yeah. So is there anyone else that needs to demo this in order to move it along, or are you guys able to make the decision?
Ultimately, Carlos makes the decision, which is the owner.
Okay.
But I recorded our session, so if he wants to schedule some time and ask some questions, he can. If not, he can also just watch this, or we can at least use that to kind of re-pitch it to him again. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and I have no problem hopping on and going through it as well if you guys want.
Sure. Okay.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'll just send you a recap of this pricing and and the deck, right? I'll send you that the deck that I use.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then I'll follow up with you guys. When's a good time to follow up? I imagine you'll talk to them sometime this week or beginning of next week.
Jeff and I are going out of town at the beginning of next week for 20 group. So while normally, yeah, probably we would have that conversation and maybe have an answer, it may be a little over a week before we can do that, right, Jeff?
Yeah, if you can give me the information tomorrow, I have a meeting tomorrow at noon with them, and I might be able to bring it up then.
Okay.
Catherine, I'd love to chat with you a little bit after the call just to get some more feedback from you and stuff, but I could, at least get some feedback at that point.
Cool.
All right, sounds good. I'll send all that stuff to you after our call, and then follow up with you at the end of next week.
That'd be perfect.
Perfect. Sounds great.
All right, thank you guys.
Tammy, do you have anything else?
No.
Cool. Alrighty, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.